You're listening to the World of Business and Taxes with Mike Lodge, keeping you informed. So let's get started.
And welcome to another podcast of the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. Every Tuesday, I do tax reform, or I do what is called Political Tuesdays, because there are certain things that we need to talk about politically that affect our taxes and our business lives and everything else about it. So today, I'm talking about tax reform because it's on the mind of myself and many others, but especially on mine, because I really feel that our code has become so complicated that individuals really do not know what they're signing anymore. So I went to a website which is called www.waysandmeans.house.gov/tax reform. And there is a group of Congress people there who are really working on tax reform. And if you look at the American people, we don't really know what we're talking about, okay? We don't know what we're signing. Under penalties and perjury, when you sign that tax return, you don't know what you're signing because there are hundreds of pages behind what you just signed. And it's very complicated and very out of date and very, I would call it maddening. So people across America are tired of dealing with the confusing and time-consuming U.S. tax code. In fact, the tax code is such a mess that 9 out of 10 individuals now hire a professional tax preparer or purchase software in order to successfully file their taxes. In addition to costing American families hundreds of dollars each year, the effort required to comply with our broken tax code costs precious time and impacts productivity. In fact, a recent study by the Tax Foundation reported that Americans will spend more than 8.9 billion hours complying with IRS tax filing requirements in 2016 and 2017. This is equal to nearly 4.3 million full-time workers doing nothing but tax return paperwork. The majority of the 8.9 million hours will be spent complying with U.S. business, 2.8 billion hours. And individual income, 2.6 billion hours in preparing the tax returns. Put in dollar terms, the 8.9 billion hours needed to comply with the tax code computes to $409 billion each year in lost productivity, or greater than the gross product of 36 states. So it doesn't have to be this hard. The Ways and Means Committee of the Congress at the moment believe that Americans shouldn't have to spend so much time and energy complying with our broken tax code. In June, as part of Speaker Ryan's Better Ways agenda, the Congress unveiled a better way for tax reform. The bold blueprint for pro-growth tax reform brings much-needed simplification and fairness to the tax code, which also including innovative provisions to support American families and job creators. Here are a few ways the blueprint will help free taxpayers and job creators from the web of complexity associated with tax compliance today and promote economic growth. And I hate to tell you this, but most of my time is compliance. As a tax guy, most of my time is compliance, trying to keep corporations and businesses and individuals in compliance with the tax law. And one little misstep can cost taxpayers a lot of money, and sometimes even jail time. I've even seen jail time. Because the IRS has now become a law enforcement agency. So let's look at number one, simplifying the filing process to save time and money. The current tax code has grown into an incredible frustration for taxpayers. Under our tax reform ideas that are coming out of Congress, They have this blueprint. They call the blueprint. All of this would change under this new blueprint. By lowering the tax rates, increasing the standard deduction, and ending a host of special interest provisions, Congress's blueprint dramatically simplifies the tax code for taxpayers. In fact, their blueprint ensures that come tax day, most Americans will be able to file their taxes on a form as simple as a postcard. So, this is what I've been saying for so many months now, is that the tax codes are so complicated and so legalistic that it puts Americans in harm's way of getting into trouble. And a lot of people don't do their taxes because they're afraid to do their taxes. They don't do their taxes because they're afraid they're going to owe. They're afraid, and it goes on and on and on. And if you were able to do this better up front in our tax code to make it more simplified, it would save a lot of people. And it would make it so that the IRS isn't so legalistic. We can't have such a law enforcement agency as strong as the IRS. And the reason why the IRS is so strong at the moment is because they have a very complicated tax code. And they can interpret it in so many, many different ways. I've seen it happen. Gosh, I've been in audits and literally having arguments with the other side because they saw a tax code totally different than the way that it was originally written. They interpreted it in so many different ways. So we need to simplify. Americans deserve simplification. They need the ability to go on with their life, not having to worry so much about how the tax guy or the tax man is going to come after them. Now, that doesn't say, now we're talking about federal taxation. Hopefully that the Congress will really focus on simplifying the tax code. But then we get down to the states where they're money hungry and they will do anything to get to your taxes. So we have an issue, and the issue for all of us is that we need to really focus on working with our Congress and telling our Congress people who are representing you that you want wage and job growth, you want simplicity and fairness in how you file your tax returns, and you want an IRS that isn't so legalistic on you. So I want you to contact your Congress people. You can look them up on Google them, and start sending them emails and start sending them letters. But tell them that it's time that Americans come first. Okay? Government comes second, but the American people come first. So we need to simplify. And we need a pro-growth tax reform. That is vital. Okay? Now, on to California. Okay. So I'm hearing rumors out of the legislative body up in Sacramento that the new tax code that was put into place by Governor Brown, the gas tax, is already being siphoned off for other projects within the government, within the state government. And this is what happens every single time when there's a new tax or something or other to raise money for a certain issue within the state. But then the government people come along and they say, you know, I need some money over here. I need some money for XYZ program. And then they start robbing Peter to pay Paul. And they have been doing this for years and years and years, and the state of California citizens don't say anything about it. Well, they're trying to repeal, this new tax code. And this new state tax on gasoline needs to go because the state is already bringing in billions of dollars, but it's being wasted by members of the legislature and by the governor and by the lieutenant governor. And so that is why you saw in one of Governor Brown's press releases that he was over budget by, I don't know, I think it was like $1.8 billion he was over budget. He had overspent. And then all of a sudden, we have this new gasoline tax bill pushed through the Assembly and Senate. We have a problem in California, and it's about tax and spend. They never think about reducing the cost of government, but they are always increasing the cost of government. And if you look at the retirement programs of most of the retirees or those individuals who retire from state government, they're going to live pretty well because you and I are paying for it. And all these new gasoline taxes and fees and everything else that the state of California want to put on you is paying for a lot of wasted money. So, talk to your state assembly people and say, you know what, we've had it with you. Cut back on taxes. Start bringing in new business into the state of California. And stop thinking so much politically and think about the goodness of Californians. We spend way too much money in this state. And it grows every single year. And now it's time that we're on the brink of a financial disaster if we do not become a little bit more conservative in the way that we run this state. Tax and spend does not solve problems. Because when you tax so much and you spend so stupidly on things that you should not be spending, then you have just wasted the people's money. Pretty sad, isn't it? So we need to do something, you guys. Get out there and pound on your assembly peoples, pound on your state senators, and tell them, hey, enough is enough. And that you're going to vote for repealing the gas tax. It's just way too much. So here we have a federal government out of control. We have a state government that is way out of control. And what bugs me is that I keep seeing Gavin Newsom pound and pound and pound upon the president and pound upon the GOP and everything. He pounds on them every day. He's putting them down every single day. He's hating them every single day. But he offers no solutions for the state that he is lieutenant governor in. So he doesn't care that there's 20% of our state people, of our citizens here, are below the poverty level. He doesn't care. Instead, he pounds upon the president and how bad the president is. But he doesn't even look at the problems that are within the state of California. He doesn't look that crime has gone up, I believe it's by 7% in the state of California. We have a problem here, and it's because with liberal thinking, they don't look at the protection of its citizens. All they do is think about the politics and the political agenda that they want to push. And it's enough. Time has come to say it's enough. So that is it for today. I'm done with my political rant. And I believe I ranted enough. If you have any questions, just call, or not call me, but send me an email at mlodge@lodge-co.com. If you have a question, I will try and answer it. And you can also go to our website at www.lodge-co.com, and you can see what our firm can do for you also as a business and tax advisory firm. If you want to continue monitoring our podcast, we have a podcast page, which is www.wbtpod.com.